Emily? Emily? She's on mute there. It's okay. That's all right. Okay, pledge of allegiance. Oh, wait. I leave the statement out. Okay, call to order.
5:32.
5:32. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adoption of the agenda. Mr. Pettis, any changes?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. The adoption agenda, I do ask the board to make one change. I'd like to action item 6E, consideration approval to allow the Member Access Academy student to graduate early. We got a report that that student was actually a senior, so we will need to do that action item.
One moment, please. So that's 6 items here.
That was okay.
Okay.
Since I changed our reading and then we got the agenda.
Is a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Those changes.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of echo and loudness. I just hear really muffled background noise is horrendous.
It's really silent in here.
Dr. Martin, how's the sound on your side? Oh, sorry.
So let me repeat, the motion was to approve the agenda. Ron Ortiz made the motion and it's going to be seconded by?
Me, Alicia.
By Alicia. That's true. I'm being stupid.
To approve the agenda as amended, we had eliminated 6E from the action items, Emily. It's not daily. So let's have a roll call vote on it.
Emily Hunt Day.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes,
I plead forgiveness. Let's finish this and we're going to go back to something I forgot to do. Okay, continue.
Richard Jones. Alicia Lundstrom. Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Dr. Gar Shambo.
Okay, now I'm gonna wait. I want you to go back to roll call. Do roll call. Let's do roll call before we have me vote.
Emily Hunt Day.
yes, yes,
Richard Jones. Alicia Lundstrom. Here. Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Dr. Gar Shambo.
Here, back to the motion. You were calling my name?
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries. There is a procedure, and I seem to be following it today, as though I have never done this before. Okay, adoption of minutes, are there any recommendations, Mr. Pettis?
Mr. President, board recommend that we adopt the minutes of March 15th as presented.
Okay, is there a motion to do so?
so moved, Emily Hunt Daly.
Emily Hunt Daly made the motion, is it gonna be seconded by?
I'll second.
By Alicia Lundstrom to approve the March 15, 2022 minutes as presented to roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Emily Hunt Daly.
Yes,
Thank you. Richard Jones. Alicia Lundstrom. Here. Ron Ortiz.
Yes.
Dr. Gar Shambo.
Yes. And here. Okay.
Good.
Recognition, motion carries. Recognitions. Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, the first recognition is for a Gratz High School student representing us with the Educators Rising program in the Educators Rising Student Competition. And I believe with us we have Ms. Teresa Butcher. I'd like to turn it over to her.
Good evening, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Board, and members of the board. I'm happy to receive this recognition on behalf of our Grants High School student, Shaylee Marayo. She's at a tennis match this evening, so she's unable to attend. But Shaylee did win second place in a state competition. For that competition, she wrote and illustrated her own children's book. And so she now qualifies to go to nationals.
Excellent.
And just to remind Mr. President, remind everybody that the Educators Rising is the program, the pathway for some of our students who are heading towards an education career. And we have the student that we're really proud of, Ms. Butcher. If you'll share that with the student, we appreciate it.
Yes, extend our congratulations to that student. It's remarkable, and I think we hope that this person will fulfill the expectations, the desire to become an educator in the future and come back here and be part of our staff. Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Board, the second recognition is we have a Early College High School student who is receiving her NMSU Associate's degree as a junior. So we're proud of her and would like to, for the board and the public, to recognize that. We appreciate all the work that you've done. We appreciate everybody that's involved in helping and supporting you to get to that accomplishment. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Y.
President, Superintendent, members of board, thank you for this opportunity. It's my privilege to recognize Ms. Danielle Tina from Early College High School. On May 6th of this year, Danielle will graduate from Veterans State University with an associate's degree in business. She will be the first Early College High School student to finish her Western State University degree program. So one interesting anecdote, Danielle will be the first Danielle will earn her college degree on May 6th before she earns her high school diploma. That doesn't happen very often, and that's going to be the case this year. On May 6th, Danielle's going to earn her college degree. In the summer, she's going to take one class that she needs to get, fulfill her high school requirements, and then she'll earn her high school diploma. So throughout her career, Danielle has always performed at the top of her class. Her current ranking with Early College High School is her current class. Danielle demonstrates the fact commitment and dedication to the program. Because of personality and extra mile Danielle plans to attend New Mexico State University in the fall and major in business. So it is with great honor and pride I present to you the recognition of Danielle Tina. So at this point, I would like to say a few words, and she's on the call.
Is she on?
Yes.
Hi everyone. So I just would like to say thank you to everyone who is here to recognize me in this meeting, as well as Dr. Y, the NMSU staff, and KCCS for starting the Early College High School. Because without that, I still be at regular high school and I wouldn't have a good head on my shoulders as I do right now. So I would just like to say thank you to everyone who came to this meeting to recognize my accomplishments, and just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. President, I'd like to address
No,
Ms.
we're on
Danielle.
There it is.
Ms. Danielle, thank you for recognizing us as well. But I think all the hard work was done by you. For that hard work, and we need a lot more students with your drive and your motivation. And good luck with all your future endeavors. And don't forget, teaching is a very good profession. That grant always looking for good teachers.
Any comments?
That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Dr. Y. We look forward to more.
Yes, congratulations, young lady. Fantastic. Great accomplishment.
Thank you.
Mr. Perez, continue on with the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board, with the citizens to address the board, we have no request this evening.
Presentations.
Sir, with presentations, the first presentation this evening is with our CTE and career pathways. We'd like to give the board an update on how that's progressing and where we're at right now and working through bringing some more opportunities for students of Jacksonville County schools.
The other way.
Mr. President, board members, Mr. Superintendent, we're really excited to bring to you GCCS Career Technical Education Career Pathways Update. There's been a lot of work going into these pathways and into researching what talent we have already within our high schools and our middle schools, and what resources we have and what we need. And as you know, we've set aside a substantial amount of money to go towards these pathways for our students, and so we're really excited about this. The CTE vision for the district is for every student to have a clear pathway to post-graduation. When we're talking about post-graduation for students, we're thinking about several different things. Thinking about those students that already know that they want to go to a 4-year or more college. They already know that they want a 2-year degree. They already know that they want career right outside of high school, or they want a low-tech school. So we're trying to make sure that we have options for all of our students there. And when we're talking about career technical education, we're talking about providing our students with academic skills that they need, with technical skills that they may need, with soft skills that they need, and all of which are necessary to succeed in their future careers, to becoming lifelong learners. So in order to provide some of these opportunities and things that we're thinking about for our students, our college, we're thinking about career, we're thinking about technical school, we're talking about certifications that they can gain, and then we're talking about work experience too. And so these pathways are built with student goals in mind. And so the certifications, the associate's degrees, the other college courses, all of that is in addition to a high school diploma. And so of course, our goal for all of our students is for them to graduate high school. But along with that, we're looking at the goals that they have and helping them to obtain these goals by all of these extras, as we're calling them, the certifications and the associate's degrees, and the path to a bachelor's degree and beyond, and work experience and real life experience with that too. And so we'll talk a little bit about the pathways that we've chosen for the district. They do look a little bit different, and I'll highlight that a little bit later with Laguna-Acoma High School and Grants High School, just because of logistical reasons, of course, their size, the number of students that we have for these pathways, and some other factors. And so the pathways that were chosen by students, that were chosen by the need of our area and the work that is needed in our area, and with what we can support using the resources that we have within the district already, were agriculture, education, health science, manufacturing and business, science and technology, vocational trades, and performing arts. And so we'll start with a little bit, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but we'll start with the agriculture pathway. For example, in agriculture, we have 3 different options there. The first option is agricultural business, and so with ag business, they will receive a high school diploma in a general business with ag coursework, and so they'll start the coursework towards a bachelor's degree in ag business. We also have 2 more that will start in the future, and so we're starting with basic courses now in agriculture, like animal science and the basic ag classes, and then we'll build to where we need some more ag classes, and we have a really high interest in the animal science part with a vet assistant, which would give a high school diploma and a vet assistant certificate, and vet technology, which would be a high school diploma, and then 41 credits toward a vet tech associate's degree, and those degrees are 76 to 80 credits total. So that's a little over halfway, or almost halfway actually, for some of these students. For the education pathway, this is an exciting one, and I know Ms. Padilla is excited about this one too. Early childhood education, which gives a high school diploma, the early childhood education certificate, which is right here at MSU and Grants, an EA substitute license is our goal for that student if they're 18 at graduation. And if not, we'll still help them to get that certificate as soon as they do turn 18. Early childhood education also has an associate's degree at MSU, and so that's another option. And then education is also an option, and there's an education associate's degree, which always goes towards the bachelor's degree in education. And so this would be a starting point here. Health sciences, we were 1 credit shy of phlebotomist already without doing these pathways at Grants High School. And so we were able to add that one last course. And so that would be a high school diploma with a phlebotomy certificate where they could work as soon as they finished that certificate. EMS Basics, which is a high school diploma, and EMS Basics certificate. We have Health Careers, which is a high school diploma, and a Health Careers certificate, which gives the students the skills to go into a multitude of health careers. And then the EMS Intermediate has the associate's degree in EMS. Manufacturing and business, you can see this one has quite a few. So we have business, retail, and merchandising, hospitality and tourism and restaurant management, and automation and manufacturing. And all of these have different certificates and other programs that go with them. But one of the things for these types of classes that we want is the OSHA 10 certificate. And so as soon as they would start to take those ones, then we want to offer that OSHA 10. There is another OSHA certification that's a lot more advanced. The students have to be 18, and we want them certified as soon as we can before they graduate with that one, to where they could take that in the future. Science and technology pathway has our computers, and so looking at the certificates for Cisco's, the CCNet, the routing and switching certificates, energy technology has an energy technology certificate, and then the engineering would be 35 credits towards an associate's of science degree of 60 total credits. And so Alternatively, we can look at how many of those credits would be towards a bachelor's degree or a master's degree if that's what the student is going for there. Vocational trades pathway, we have a lot of students interested in welding at both of our high schools right now, and those programs are going really, really well. And so we're looking at welding technology certificates and then the OSHA certification there, and then there's some other certifications that we can do with welding that we're building towards. Building trades with woodworking, framing, and then insulation and drywall, finished carpentry, and then the last one on that one is electrical systems. And so each of them have specific certificates as well. Paired with all of these are the student organizations. And you heard about one of them already, which is Educators Rising. At our last meeting, you heard about DECA, which is for the marketing, finance, hospitality, and management. And so the other ones would be HOSA for future health professionals. FFA is something that's just starting at Grants High School with agriculture. Skills USA for workforce and leadership in all different areas. The Technology Student Association focuses on STEM. MESA, we already have MESA in our middle and high schools for quite a while, and those are successful as well. And so looking at doing a little bit more with high school in those areas, and then the supercomputing challenge is another one that we've had students show interest in, which is computational science projects. And so there are 16 pathways, recognized pathways with not just the state of New Mexico, but nationally. And these are the CTE pathways. There's little icons for each one of them. And I wanted to give you a visual of what we're offering at Grants High School right now. Out of those 16 in red, and then in blue is what we're offering at Laguna Acoma. It might not be every one of those into the pathway that we get to offer at Laguna Acoma, but at least one, if there's a blue X there, will be offered. And then something I want everyone to remember is that as our student needs change, and as we see increase in student need in one area versus another, then we need to be flexible with that too, with our talent, with our resources, with what our student needs are, with what our community needs are. And so in building all of these, that's what we did, is we talked to students, and we talked to at both the high schools and in the middle schools. What do they want? What do they need? We talked to community members and the economic development group, and we had a really good group there that said kids are needing these skills, these work skills to come and work for us here within our community. And then we talked to our post-secondary partners with NMSD. We had in-depth conversations about what students need to be to do to be successful in those courses and beyond. And so that's where we got the need for which of the pathways that we're offering right now. And then of course capacity, so we look at the talent that we have already with Grants Sublime County Schools, who is certified to teach which courses, and where do we need more? Where are we lacking resources, and how can we fix that? And so in the last couple of weeks, Vance Lee and Dr. Williams and I have visited the campuses to see what we already have, if that's sufficient for the new courses that we need to teach, and then what we're going to do moving forward to make sure that they have everything that they need. And so our next steps are building district learning plans. Just like we have our district learning plan for math and ELA from kindergarten to 12th grade, we're building these district learning plans along with the teachers that teach these courses to make sure that they have the resources, but they also have a systematic way to teach the standards that they're going to be addressed. We'll review the professional development that's needed for all of these. For anybody that's going to do the OSHA certification, they have to have their OSHA 30, and so we'll work towards getting those ones certified so that they can help certify the others. The supply and equipment needs are something that we've been taking down from the teachers, and also we've been going and looking ourselves. And then in the next couple of meetings, we'll be presenting those needs to all of you. What exactly resources that we need, what curriculum we want to look at for some of our different programs that don't have anything yet or that we're just starting.
I'd like to just add a little perspective. So all of this is, of course, a reminder that this is not all new. This is something we've been talking about for at least a year with our ERP funds. As we presented some of these thoughts and the investment that we were had delegated out through those ERP funds. This is part of that $7 million investment that we talked about for at least a year. And this is the piece to show the board that it is becoming a reality, and the intention of going this direction is actually coming to life.
Something else that I wanted to point out is that several of our programs include entrepreneurial skills within their programs. And so looking at how they can be self-sufficient with consumables after a certain time when all of this funding is gone and we have the major things that we need, but then being able to still sustain with the products that come from the greenhouses from ag, that come from the welding program, that and other things. I know not all of them are business friendly or business minded, but the ones that are definitely have those pieces in there. And then pairing with the organizations, the student organizations and the competitions that we mentioned there, it gives students some different experiences. You know, we have students going to national conferences now where they'll gain skills that they wouldn't gain if they didn't get to go somewhere. And so I think this is really exciting for the future and for our kiddos that are coming up that are able to see this all the way through.
Questions of board members? Questions, comments, board members?
Mr. President, this is Ms. Daly. Ms. Reyna, I noticed, I couldn't hear a lot of, so I might have missed it. The red and blue crosses, were that participation from Grants High School and Guna Acoma?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Approximately, how many do we have, total students from both schools do we have on these various pathways?
So all of our students will choose a pathway, and whether it be exploratory or whether they're going at it full force to get their associate's degree, either way, these count for electives. If they decide that it's not something that they're totally interested and they made a mistake, that's okay, it's still an elective. But I don't have exact numbers for you right now. We're still working on registration. And as we work through registration, we're working on staff. And so, for example, at Grants High School, registration numbers came in for our welding courses, and it was overwhelming. And so we're looking at supplementing some of those classes because one teacher is just not enough for that many welders. And what resources we can use from NMSU as well to take some of the load of those welding courses, and we're still working through all of those. And the student success advisors will begin talking to every student to make sure this is exactly what they want to. And so it's still in process for sure.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to say, I commend everybody that we're working on this. This is a huge endeavor, I'm sure. And it's always great when you can connect the classwork with practical application. I think these students will benefit when they know why they're learning what they're learning.
Questions? First of all, comment, I guess. It's important for students to become exposed to the work before they get to high school. And that's critical, because when they get to high school and they haven't thought about it and haven't been exposed to it, then they are self-limiting. They don't know. And so we're selecting pathways based upon these students. Is that the current interests of these students. I see other pathways, the clusters, the 16 clusters, that deserve the attention of our students. They should be options, information technology. I'm surprised I don't see anything there. I'm curious about what we're going to be developing for arts pathway. Law, public safety, that is the area that we could explore or have a student different. So what we're trying to do is to customize our pathways based on the interests expressed by the students. And our students need to be exposed to a range of opportunities that not only exist, that could be available as employment here in the county, but also employment in other areas. And that's important. A lot of our students will go to Albuquerque or some other places, or go on to four-year institutions and get their degrees. And so that's what I hear. I think what I gather, Mr. Perez, is that this is a focus on trying to deliver concrete coursework that is a part of their 26 units that will be applied to a specific selected career pathway. So we won't know the numbers for next year until you finish your recruitment and registration process. That's my understanding from it. Okay. So I think we need to focus also on the other portion of it where we have students develop their awareness of all these 16 pathways in addition to these. I can think of some pathways that some of our stakeholder groups would want their children, their youth to be involved with, and we need to be aware of all of the interests and concerns that our stakeholder groups and tribes may have for the education of their students. Welding has been always a popular and rewarding trade. I think that there may be others that we will want to develop as part of our plan to grow our children's critical interests in the future. So we will get a report maybe June an update on students selection and what we're going to be able to accomplish for this coming school year. I really want us to build an equitable program that is available to both high schools and while the National High School is smaller, there must be some other creative delivery systems we can have to have these students also enjoy some of the others that I see that Grants High School has selected. Thank you.
Can I say one thing that I didn't mention?
Last question, yes. Last questions.
Our pathway started in 7th grade. And so 7th and 8th grade has a lot of exploratory classes. And we even made some of them semester long rather than year long, so that students aren't in a class for a whole year that they want to explore. You know, they just want to see if that's something that they like. And so a lot of our 7th and 8th grade classes have changed. In fact, there's 22 new titles at Los Lamitos, for example. And the same with Laguna. So career explorations is one of those, and they explore the other careers that are not even necessarily within our pathways. And so we would know that way as well. So we do have middle school included in this, and we didn't mention that.
Thank you. Mr. Pitts.
Questions? I'd just like to this is restricted to what is mentioned. The career pathways based on everything that we gathered. It's already done. And then we made all of it, we changed it. We want to deliver what the need is out there. So we will continue on this path. And of course, the other thing I want to mention is, as was brought up, but to emphasize that some of the challenges here are the teachers. We have the teachers that are qualified for all these different areas. So it's not, it doesn't fit nicely in that cookie cutter that type of approach. But we are going to work I say very nicely with the resources that we have, the teachers that we have, while at the same time building onto all of these ideas as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Does that conclude the CTE presentation?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Let's continue.
Next presentation, Mr. President and Board. As you know, we do the quarterly assessment in the district quarterly assessment, which at this point is Illuminate. The keeper of those bank items has been Illuminate. We'll be transferring that to Synergy as we change our whole power school system to Synergy. However, we need to assure you that it is the same quarterly assessment bank items. So we're happy to know that we have an assessment system that is standard and that we can look at from quarter to quarter and now from year to year for trend data and also some growth data. So we actually have two assessments that are pretty nicely together. We have our district quarterly assessment that we obviously do every quarter. We also have the state required IMASA testing, which is more of a growth type of assessment where they have all of the bank questions at the beginning of the year assessment, the same questions in the middle of the year, and the same questions at the end of the year, which is a little bit different than so we're actually getting information from two different sides. District quarterly assessment, the standards are changing as the scope and sequence changes throughout the year. The state assessment keeps the same bank items throughout the whole year. So we're actually getting information from both. So what we're here to share with the board this evening is the district's quarterly assessment. Quarter 3, that was just completed a couple of weeks ago. And then of course we'll still have the end of the year, fourth quarter assessments that we're looking forward to looking at and analyzing later.
So for this presentation, I don't have I have Illuminate data, I do not have the IMASA, but at the end of the year, I want both presented so we can see both of those, because as Mr. Pettis said, one is standard per quarter, and then the other one is all the standards at the same time. And so this first graph that you're gonna see is, this is math Illuminate from quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3. And so you can see that we are having significant changes in our data from below basic, basic, proficient, and advanced. So our numbers are increasing steadily for our proficient and advanced, and quite a bit more purple over here in the last part of our math. And so we're really excited to see that progression. It is different standards every time, but we all know how it works with math. And every quarter we're using the standards within that quarter and adding them to the next one. And so as these students are getting more and more knowledgeable about these math standards for their grade level, we're seeing more proficient students, and so that's very, very exciting. For math district-wide, we have seen a 10% increase since quarter 1. And so when I look at this, I see slow and steady gains, and I know that those are sustainable. And so I'm really excited to see what we're doing here. We do still have 50% that are not at the proficient or advanced state, but I want to highlight those 50% that have got there from the beginning of the school year. I'm really excited about this growth, and I know that our teachers are doing whatever they need to do to help their students with that. The next one is our English language arts. Oh, I'm sorry, I wanted to highlight one for you. Algebra 1, at the beginning of the year, we had 0% proficient in quarter 1. Quarter 2, we had 10%, and quarter 3, we had 20%. And I think, what's that? This is Algebra 2, I'm sorry, yes. For Algebra 2, we do have quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3 as an increase of 20%. And so that's really exciting, and I really commend those Algebra 2 teachers because they worked really hard. The next one that we have is our ELA. This is the first year that we've tested 12th grade. Last year they were tested, and so that's new data. But quarter 3 for Illuminate, quarter 3 is a culmination of all of the standards from that grade level. Quarter 4, they will apply those standards. And so quarter 3, I say for ELA is that heavy load. So they did struggle a little bit with quarter 3, but we can still see that our main curve is moving right. We can still see that we have more proficient and advanced students, and they're moving right. And district-wide, we did go a little down in quarter 3, but for the most part, we're staying pretty steady along. And like I said, quarter 3 is the hard hitter. Quarter 3 is all of those harder standards, the more rigorous standards, the more application, and then in quarter 4, that's when they take everything and they're writing essays with the things that they knew, and they're responding to text and responding to data and showing what they know that way. I went ahead and did English 2 since I did Algebra 2, and so English 2 had quarter 1 14%, quarter 2 25%, and quarter 3 29%. So that's almost a 50% increase right there. So we're excited about the progress. In some areas I'm working really hard, and others I'm looking at that DLP and making sure that we have some even standards there. Overall, we're seeing improvement, and that's what we're looking for. And then I wanted to let everyone know that as a district, we take all of this data that you're seeing right here from the district. And in executive leadership, we look at this data. And in district leadership, we look at this. Within our academic department, we look at this. With the instructional coaches, we look at all of this. We take it down to subject, and we look at it that way. We take it down to each grade level, and we look at every grade level to make sure that there's not any huge gaps anywhere. And if there is, what is it? How do we address that? Then we look at subpopulations. Are English learners struggling with one specific thing, and how do we address that? And what resources do we have to meet their needs? With our special ed population, what are we doing to help them specifically with some of these things? Then we look down to school sites. Do we have a school site that's struggling or that's doing really well that we can celebrate? And if it's that school site, how can they share with what their successes are with our other school sites? And the instructional coaches are so good about that. And then we go down to the classroom. And so the instructional coaches take this all the way down to the classroom, and then those teachers take it down further than that. I just ran out of room on my little funnel here to students. And so a lot of our teachers are implementing student data folders. And so every student knows exactly where they are with the IMOSA, for example. Some of those students were showing me how they moved from where they were at the beginning of the year until the end of the year. So they're able to read those graphs and show me how they can move and how they got better and how excited they are to take it again so they can see if they moved more. And so when our students are able to tell us what their performance is and where they're at on Illuminate, or when mine comes home and says, I passed that Illuminate test, the math test, that tells us that our students understand why they're being assessed too, so they can see progress and growth. So I just wanted everybody to really see how we take all of the data that we have available and we really use it for our instruction. Our examining student work plays a big role in all of this, because coupled with the data that we have here, as our teachers examine the work that they're doing in the classroom, and as our instructional coaches and our administrators guide them, they make plans for every student on how they're going to get them better and how they're going to move them to the next level. And so it goes way farther than what we even have right here. And so we're really excited, not only with this, but with some graduation data that we will get to share with you soon as well.
My members of the audience, questions?
Yes, I have a question. So what's the difference between the IMASA and the MASA?
IMASA is interim, and so that one is given at the beginning, middle, and end of the year. And so that's a measure that we're able to see periodically throughout the year. And the NMASA is the state test that's given at the end of the school year as a cumulative for the whole school year.
The state tests.
They both are.
So what would be the difference between the end of the year IMASA and the NMASA at the end of the year?
This year, we didn't opt out of the IMASA at the end of the year, and so that's why we have to give both. But moving forward, that's what we're looking for is that guidance from PED about, eliminating the end of the year IMASA and using the NMASA in place of that.
And my second question is, and I think you said this in the beginning, so we will be able to compare quarter 4 Lumini data results with the IMASA in the year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, the standards that we've taught from the beginning of the year till now, at the end of quarter 4, we'll have all of our standards that have been addressed in the DLPs assessed. And so the same with the NMASA or the IMASA end of year, both of them, they'll have all of the standards addressed, and so we'll be able to compare standard to standard. We've also been comparing standard to standard from last year. It's just a little bit harder because some of our assessments changed, whereas next year our assessments will stay the same. So we'll be able to compare quarter 1 of this school year to quarter 1 of next school year easier because our standards are the same. It's a little messier because we move the standards around, but we can still take standard to standard.
Just a quick thought. Delivering the needs to the students. We know that students that just struggle. So, what can we take it from that level of that student is not?
So we implemented MLSS this year, multi-layered systems of support. And so they're at the tier 1 level, that's the interventions for all students in the classroom, just because they might be having a bad day or they might struggle with one thing, but once you catch them up, they're okay. If they're still struggling and after documentation with the teacher, it goes to level 2. And at level 2, it's more intensive supports and it's targeted just to that student and just to that subject. And if those still aren't met, if that's still not what needs to be happen, then we go level 3. We go more intense and we go more targeted to where we make sure that we're meeting the needs of the students, or we're doing further examination, testing, any of those diagnostics that we can use to make sure that there's not other issues going on that we can't address in the regular classroom.
Thank you. Next one.
No
Okay.
Send the questions.
No questions? Okay. I was amused at the acronyms.
IMASA.
IMAS, LAMAS. There's something from the movie that kept me confused. Okay, what is confusing to me is in days gone by, we used to have short cycle assessments. That means the ones that we're talking about, beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. Now you're talking about quarterly assessments. So that means that there are 4 administrations of the last assessment beginning.
So the interim assessment, the New Mexico measures of, the interim New Mexico measures of student success. That one is beginning, middle, and end of the year. And it's important to know that that one is all standards. So that's all, for example, 3rd grade, all your 3rd grade standards for the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year. Our quarterly assessments are assessing only what was taught within that quarter. So quarter 1 assessment for 3rd grade for math is only the standards that were taught that are directed in the DLP. And so that one is after every quarter. Because one is assessing our system, our system of standards-based learning and our system of just teaching those right then. And then that gives us information on which standards need to be retaught, which ones we need to intervene on, which standards the teachers need to address again and loop back around, and which ones have been mastered.
In the past, we used to use the state's, the state's prescribed short cycle assessments to do the same. So what do we make? How do we use those interim assessments? What utility is there for those tests?
If we're waiting for the beginning, middle, and end of the year, we're waiting until October, when is the first, and then again in January, end of January, and then we're waiting until May.
What's the utility? What's the value then? If you're saying that we have to wait, that means that there's less usefulness.
Yes. I would like to interject Dr. Schimmel, Mr. President. The required right now is not the biggest thing. The IMASA state interim assessment is required. If we had a choice between both, the district eliminate quarterly assessment is more appropriate, more useful for the teacher to adjust and increase their instruction.
Okay, I understand that. Another comment or question, and I apologize for taking a little time. Just be patient. That means that a student will take 2 tests.
That's right.
That's a lot of instructional time taken away. So give me an example when the IMAS and Illuminate are administered in approximately similar time frames. So when is the IMAS administered?
So IMASA end of year opened in.
You said 3 times.
It opens at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
For a little
When you
bit.
say open, it means that we're administering tests.
There's a window. So there's a window within which we can take it. And so like now at the end of the year, I know our test administrators have 3 tests to give because we have the end of the year Illuminate, which is our 4th quarter Illuminate. We have the end of the year IMASA, and then we have the NMASA, which is our state assessment. And so we stagger those throughout.
Okay. So, as to it, that's my judgment. It's a waste of instructional time, learning time, to have students take multiple tests like that. And it's not a judgment against us, it's a judgment against the bureaucracy of the system. And I know how teachers feel about that. And how students feel about taking tests, especially the ones that I was talking about. When you take tests and they struggle with both of them, that's not right. And I want people to pay those comments to the higher officials in town. They have to do something about that. Another observation I was going to make is that on the ELA quarter 3, you said that the Illuminate results reflected a tougher exam in a sense. Does that mean that if a student was proficient in quarter 3 that they more than likely were mastering the standards of quarter 1 and quarter 2. And so, another question is quarter 3 built upon the previous standards in English?
In some grade levels. In some grade levels, they can apply what they know in quarter 1 and quarter 2, or in previous grade levels to quarter 3. And in some grade levels, it's new information, just depending on how many standards we had in that grade level.
Okay, Mr. President, that's why there's a lot of time spent on the scope and sequence of the standards, so that there's a logical sequence where, if those are built on previous quarter standards, that's acknowledged and put into the assessment in that order.
Okay. And I'm fortunate to have previous experience with the sequencing of Common Core State Standards, which is basically what these are. So I know how they're built, and I know the logic behind it. It's understandable and it's reasonable. They are sustained throughout each grade to a great extent until you get to the upper grades. Well, no, K through 1, K through 6, it's you can see how the structure of it is shown. You know, you can see it in all the grades. It's just that there's much more. The text becomes much more complex as they go up the grades. It's not just simple first grade stories. It's going to move up, and we expect the children to comprehend the text of their grade level, and not, if you're in a 3rd grade class, be given a 1st grade class the grade text material in order to teach what reading or to build it. That's an old approach to teaching reading. I think there's much to be improved on by the state, because I have yet to figure out how we're going to use the state prescribed assessment results. And I know that in the past, school districts would always measure and compare their performance between districts based upon the spring annual achievement test. What are we going to use to make those kinds of comparisons in the future? I don't know. I don't know. Unless it's another prescribed state assessment. And is there going to be a state prescribed assessment?
So the required interim assessment now is required statewide, so we can use that to compare with other districts. And now and at the end of middle of the year, end of the year, so that we do have that's one use of it, is to see what we've had in the next districts. We need another assessment because we have the NAMASA, which is formerly Lake Park used to be, is the summative assessment that is the major state required assessment that the state uses to evaluate how we are doing it. Probably the biggest indicator that they have to designate how we're doing compared to other schools in the state. So we do have that in place. It's statewide, and we should be able to compare with other districts on how they're doing, because it's the same assessment statewide.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to overemphasize comparisons with other districts. Because I think we need to look at performance of students on math and English based upon our curriculum and how we have organized and structured the learning that they're supposed to have. And so we will want to consider illuminating to be a very credible and valid measure of students' mastery of the standards, and then make some critical decisions for the students in their promotion and retention in this time of the year. My expectation is that we're going through those processes of who's going to be retained, who's going to be promoted.
Dr. Shambo, that during COVID, the state was actually allowing us to use our Lemonade only, and we opted out of the IMASA. But then at the end of the day, they made it a requirement that we did their state assessment as well. We want to remain steadfast with our district assessment because that is something, again, that we use for adjusting instruction. The teachers utilize to analyze their student work. But we do have the state requirement, which we don't have a choice with, but we're going to utilize that and make the best of it since we do have to do it.
Well, I think we need to make use of it well because we actually are trying to use the right verb, where we are requiring students to take the time to take the test. Anytime we give a test to a student, we need to make use of it. And we need to create the right testing environment so that they have the best chance of doing so. Because we know that there are some important issues related to test taking that still exist to this day. A lot of kids can't take paper pencil tests. Many kids cannot take computerized assessments. They don't know how to sequence their mind to do that. So you have to build that in. And then you have the so-called the possible biases that exist within the test items themselves that may be more advantageous for certain populations of students as compared to others. I don't know if that all fits into this day. I'm more inclined to rely on our states, our local districts, assessment that is reflecting what it is the children are going to learn from the beginning of the school year until now, and make decisions about their future based on that. That's what I'm expecting them to do. And so we need to already start to plan ahead what our population demographics are going to look like for this coming school year. How many students are going to be in that risk category? How many students are going to be in the enriched gifted area? And start to look at potentials, things of that sort. We're very curious because this is a year when we're trying to transition out of a COVID period. The state is trying to require us to administer this assessment. We are doing these assessments. And on top of that, another question I had was, are we still having course exams?
For which courses?
For all the courses. I thought there used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought there used to be required end-of-year tests for our courses. I'm sorry for the students to graduate.
No, that's no longer a requirement.
Good. That's how far behind, and I'm glad I am behind on that. I thought they were still doing that and being another mess into itself. So our students also then are being assessed on their classroom performance, which is a whole different ballgame. These are report card grades. And we haven't discussed that. And this is not an issue that we want to discuss. But we would want to discuss that at some point in the future and just to explore that. But it would be better if we gave you plenty of time to get through this process and start to delve into these kinds of things in the future. Thank you. That's my monologue again. Mr.
Dr.
Daly?
Mr. President,
Yes.
Dr. Guy, I think we need to let the, take the data and then give them a chance to, that's what Illuminate does. It evaluates the performance of the students in the classroom. And the state doesn't require those tests anymore. So we just need to let them go through the numbers, and I'm pleased that we're making progress, and we just need to let them do the numbers, and then they can come back and report to us.
Very good. Well spoken.
I'd like to ask another question for clarification. So after this year, the NMASA will no longer be given in this district? Is that correct?
No. It's just turned out to be a requirement recently. So IMASA and NMASA are the new.
Okay, because that doesn't make any sense, because the IMASA has an end of the year assessment. And then at the end of the year, you're already doing the NMASA on top of it. So that is a lot of testing.
And that's what we wanted to live with. We want to just keep the NMASA the summative final evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Do away with that last end of the year IMASA assessment, because that is too much.
So we should be able to compare the beginning and middle IMASA with our NMASA at the end of the year.
Oh.
So we would still have a beginning, middle, and end, but we would just be doing the required NMASA.
Thank you. There was a good beginning of focusing in on how to interpret this data. We'll continue to look forward to more segregated data in the weeks, months to come. I'm just looking at the upside down column. It's helpful because it visualizes how you are approaching things from classroom all the way to the district. Mr. Pettis, let's continue.
Okay, Mr. President, for the action items, the first action item is consideration of approval for a Grants High School student to travel to Washington, D.C. on June 24th and 27th, 2022 for Educators Rising National Conference. Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve this action item.
Is there a motion? Motion has been made by Ron Ortiz to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Board Lundstrom to approve the Grants High School student travel to Washington, D.C. June 24, 27. Educators Rising. Roll call.
Emily Hunt Bailey,
Yes.
Richard Jones, Alicia Lundstrom,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Garchambo,
Yes.
Miss Dr. Shamble,
Yes.
Ms. Butcher, did you want to make a comment about this one?
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, President. First of all, I just wanted to thank you again on behalf of Shaylee Mariah for considering this trip. It's a big deal for Grants High School to be represented at the national level, and I'm honored to accompany.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Question. This approves the travel of the student.
It approves the travel and the expense.
Does this approve the travel of the sponsor?
I believe so, yes.
Does it say that?
Sure, it's in there.
yeah, there's a footnote.
It says that it's the student and sponsor.
is, so the clarification is student and sponsor to travel?
Yes.
Would you make a note of that?
Yes.
That also is gonna be for the other one, if that is the case.
Yes. Thank you. Make that clear here.
B,
Okay, B, Mr. President, Board. This is a consideration approval for Advanced High School student to travel to San Diego, California for National Leadership Conference. Is there someone to speak to this one? Advanced High School? I just need clarification. Mr. Wagner, is this for the student or a student sponsor?
Mr. Pettis, I believe that's for the FCCLA group. I believe are the post-start culinary kids, but I'm not sure.
He's also in the
Talked about the deficit last week, and for last board meeting, you guys approved that one. So I believe this is from the FCCLA.
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado.
Mr. Pettis, clarify for us what this item is for.
So this is for the FCCCLA trip to National Leadership Conference in San Diego, June 29th through July 3rd. 6 nights for 6 students and teachers. Hotels, required to stay in one of the hotels contracted by FCCLA. The total cost of that is $7,350. And the meals, following the guidelines, policies that we have, $12 per person per meal, not to exceed 2016. Transportation will be by air. The uniforms that they're required to wear at the conference are included here. Total uniform cost of $546. Registration includes weekly registration and activities while the students are there for $2,360. Some team building exercises at the cost of $35 per person. Lanyard upgrade for conference attendees, and those are $15. So the total trip cost for these students and teachers is $19,072.
Mr. President, question for Steve.
Steve.
Steve, would this come up as that, homeless, Paris money?
Yes, it does. Yes, because they were unable to fundraise like they normally would, and these will be covered by tuition.
Okay, Mr. I'm puzzled, and it's probably my fault, but I'm looking at the previous one that we had voted on, which was for driving.
Yes.
Okay. And,
I think, Mr. President, A says one student and then B has student, but I think there's more than one student attending for that, National Leadership Conference. Am I correct? The first one was just for one student.
Yes, that should be students and teachers.
well, what I'm saying though is that we need to be clear, we're spending the district's money, and that means the board needs to know some of the financial details and who's going to go. We clarified for Rising that it's going to be student and sponsor. And my expectation is that it that the documents within the board packet are going to be the basis by which is going to be is the backup information that we are approving. So if we look at the information within the board packet, it describes in detail. I think it's over simplifying the action item. The action item for B just says student, but the actual documents within the board packet are, they explain purpose, number of students, cost, destination, timeline, all of that is part of the board's approval. Okay? So when we approve this, we're basically approving the documentation that accompanies this. That also goes for the previous one that Teresa Butcher presented. So that'll be the backup documentation that you use, Mr. Maldonado, when we're approving these expenditures. So that in mind, we need to just modify, as Emily has stated, we need to modify the action item to approve the Grants High School FCCLA travel for students and teachers as documented within the board packet. Total cost of $19,072. That is how the motion should read. Is there a second? Is there a motion to that effect?
Would you like for me to read that?
Yes.
Read it again. So, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve the Grants High School students and sponsors to travel to San Diego, California for the National Leadership Conference in the amount of $19,072.
Mr. President, can I ask one question? How many students?
That's presented in the
Students and sponsors are going to that second one?
Yes.
Is there a motion to that effect? Motion has been made by Ron Ortiz to approve the motion. Is there a second?
Do you mean the wording?
What he says.
Okay, I can second that, yes.
Yes. Seconded by Board Member Alicia Lundstrom to approve the travel as stated to San Diego. Roll call.
Emily Hunday,
Yes. Yes.
Continue.
You hear me? Yes.
Emily Hunday,
Yes.
Thank you. Richard Jones. Alicia Lundstrom.
yes.
Ron Ortiz. Dr. Barchago.
Yes. Motion carries.
Mr. President, Board,
C, consideration.
Next action item is consideration of approval for E-rate, an E-rate proposal for district-wide area network services.
and I do recommend that we approve this action item as presented.
Is there a motion?
Motion. That would approve.
So moved, Emily Hunt Daly.
Commissioner, motion has been, made by Alicia Lundstrom, and, Emily, will you give a second?
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Hunt Daly for approval of the UA proposal. Discussion.
Yes, sir, I have, Ms. Whitebird?
Good evening. Good evening, Board President, Board Members, Superintendent. This evening, we're presenting the contract for the winning vendor to upgrade the wide area network fiber connectivity service to 5 of our rural schools, which are Cubero, Laguna Acoma, Blue Water, San Rafael, and Milan. Currently, the schools are connected directly back to our main data center on 200 and 300 meg circuits provided by CenturyLink. This upgrade will allow the bandwidth at each of the 5 rural schools to upgrade to 1 gigabit direct connection back to our data center. The contract is for a 2-year term. This is an E-rate funded program, and based on the rate funding calculation, since the infrastructure is already in place from previous upgrades, there are no additional construction costs. If approved tonight, the service will be upgraded starting July 1st, 2022, which is the start of the next E-rate funding cycle. This upgrade is part of the district's strategic plan for school year 2020.
I think the key page is Exhibit 1, which tells us the increase in the bandwidth, which is fantastic. From 300 to 1 gigabyte, am I correct?
Yes.
Amazing. And the addresses are there, list them all. So currently, we do have a system in place that is just not powerful enough, and this will replace that.
Yeah, and Mr. President, Board, I'd also like to express that the tech team is not only being reactive and everything, proactive. There's a lot of work that I'm seeing happening with not only getting to the 1 gig, but they're setting up the stage for the 5 gig and the 10 gig for the future. So they're very much on the pathway of not only thinking about today, but the future, and setting up the infrastructure for our future expansion and wider bandwidth.
Excellent. Or any comments made in support or against the motion?
I do have a question, Mr. Perez. Does that include Cebolleta, or we're just not, there's just no available Wi-Fi service, cell service?
Answer that. Currently, Cebolleta is serviced by Red Bolt, and they have a 300 meg connection, so that is why they're not on this contract. We weren't able to get them on this original contract about 5 years ago, so we do have a different service provider providing their wide area network connection to Cebolleta. They do have a
Okay,
direct
so
fiber
Raquel,
connection.
they won't be without. Okay, so they'll be good. They won't be without service.
That's correct, Mrs. Hunt Daly. They do have a direct fiber connection provided by Red Bolt. They do have 300 megs, which is sufficient for their needs. Currently, they use about 8 to 10 megs of data on a daily basis, so they're well taken care of out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there no other comments?
Just exhibiting significant work out there at Cebolleta with Red Bolt. Hard fiber line has been installed I believe that it's gone all the way around to, Cemetery.
Yes, around the mountain.
Cemetery, all the way around the mountain. Really had to segue at this, so that's a major project that we have benefited from. And our tech team has been engaged with that whole project.
Well, thanks to Red Bolt for doing that for the communities. Roll call vote.
Abby Hyundai,
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
yes.
You only get one yes, not three.
Richard
I
Johnson
can't tell if you're hearing me because there's so much noise.
and Alicia Lindstrom,
yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Kyra Shamble.
Yes. Motion carries. And if any say for the other ones, motion carries for those other ones too. Roll call vote consideration of approval of Grants High School donation.
Sir, Mr. President, Board, I do recommend that we approve and accept the donation of $1,200 from Homestake Mining Company as presented.
Is there a motion? Motion to approve. It's made by Ron Ortiz. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Alicia Lundstrom to approve the Grants High School to accept the donation of $1,200 from Homestake Mining Company. Discussion, Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir. So we'd like to ask Mr. Wagner to share with us.
Mr. Wagner?
Good evening, everybody. I appreciate your consideration of this donation. Homestake approached us about some of their community relations funds, and they offered to help pay for a portion of our senior honors night dinner. That's the dinner that we sponsor with all of our scholarship recipients for the class of 2022. We sponsor it annually. We didn't during the pandemic, and we do RFPs for bids for the meal. I believe the total of the meal is $1,800, but Homestake did approach us about their community funds and said that they would be willing to sponsor a part of the meal. So we would like to do that. We're having the senior honors night on May 4th. And we're going to have it at the Cow Palace, and we'll invite all of the board members to be there in attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner.
Mr. President, I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Ms. Joanne Martinez, who's behind this. Joanne Martinez, if you don't know, has been very instrumental in the community in supporting different community activities. This being one, and she's also behind our backpack program for the students. So just like to acknowledge that.
Extend our appreciation to Joanne Martinez for this. It's going to be an excellent dinner, and I'm glad that they are participating and supporting that. Roll call.
Abby Hyundai.
Yes,
Thank you. Richard Jones, Alicia Lundstrom,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz, Dr. Kyra Shamble.
Yes.
Mr. President, Board, the next item is a consideration of approval to allow a Grants High School student to graduate early. And I do recommend approving this action item as presented.
What's the name of the student?
Adriana Lynch.
So
Adriana Lynch, she's here this evening, Mr. President.
put that into the motion. And that's two ends. Is there a motion? Motion has been made by Ron Ortiz to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
second by Alicia Lastra to approve to allow Grants High School student, Adriana Lachu to graduate early. Adriana, and I'm assuming you're with their
Mom?
mom?
Yeah.
Okay, would you like to speak to us and tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah. So I'm a junior at Grants High School. I was doing engineering classes to catch up from the year that COVID happened, which is when I was a sophomore. And I got caught up with all of that. I finished it and I want to, or hopefully they'll let me do more. And if I get approved for early graduation, then I hope to start taking classes at CNM in the summer. I've already taken my AccuPlacer at CNM to see where I'm at in English and math. And I have completed, well, by the end of the semester, I will have 5 credits that I still need to complete, which hopefully will, if I complete them next year, which will, school year, which will allow me to graduate in December. I've been pretty motivated to get stuff done, just simply because I like doing that stuff. I like learning and whatnot. I would like to get a head start on my career and just really move forward with my life. So that's really about it.
Okay, then would you introduce your
Anna Cruz Lanchu. Mother.
support and everything else?
That is just mom. Longer than your mom wants, but.
Almost. Comments from board members?
See your motivation first. Like, I know your family, so like, sure you got pushed by your family a little bit, you know? And I know your mom, and you got some good parents. Good parents always help their students, and that's very appreciated by our parents. Good job.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations on our hard work and determination and you're good farm.
Thank you.
Very proud of you, Adriana, to see all your work, your hard work. You have to know that this really gives a nice street for the high school, the best school, the county school district, for the community. We appreciate it.
Is there a, let's see, we've already made the motion and seconded, and of course I also congratulate you. It's good to have an outstanding future. Roll call.
Yes.
Thank you. Alicia Lastra?
Yes.
Ron Ortiz?
Yes.
Dr. Gaia Campbell?
Yes. Motion carries. Congratulations, you are going to be on the road to a great future.
Thank you all so much. It means a lot.
It does. We know it. Okay. Round of applause for her. We will reward you by, you may stay for the rest of the board meeting. Or you can go and celebrate early. Okay. I wouldn't do that to my Okay, F, let's see, that's F.
I've got to do the class, sorry. We're on to G.
G, okay, well, I just remember G. Mr. Pettis.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is the approval of the 2022-2023 school calendar. And my recommendation is that we go with the process, and you'll see in the back of documents that there's the results of the voting on calendar A and calendar B. I do recommend, Mr. President, that we approve the calendar
presented.
Let's, want to do this a little different. I'd like to have an explanation a bit more of the results of the minutes before we can the motion. Okay? So, kind of give us what's the difference between the two?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. So we have several members that are on the calendar committee. I think Dr. Martin was a major part of that. Would you like to share?
Yes, sir. The calendar committee, which is comprised of a member or two of every school site and department of the district, met twice. So the first time we met, we actually showed them two versions of the calendar, calendars A and B, and gave them the option to create a different calendar if they so choose. But the committee decided to stay with the two calendars and to present those two calendars to each of their sites and departments. And after voting was over, that's the result that you have in the packet. Overwhelmingly, members of school sites and departments voted for calendar A. The major difference, so if you look at the two calendars, they're very similar to each other. The major difference is that calendar A doesn't have, let me pull that up, doesn't have, so calendar A doesn't have, so this is calendar B. So calendar B has the 10th as where all the students and teachers are off. I believe the 10th of October is Indigenous Peoples Day. If teachers and students have October 10th as a holiday, what happens is the 30th, the teachers will have to come back on the 30th for a professional development. Because if October 10th was a holiday, then the teachers will lack a day, and so they will have to extend up to May 30th. And what that will do is extend the ELTP up to June 13th. Now, if we look at, let me stop sharing this one and share calendar A. If you look at calendar A, calendar A doesn't have the 10th as a holiday for students and staff. They chose the 31st of October to be the professional development day, therefore allowing teachers allowing teachers to end the regular school year on the 26th, and allowing the district to start ELTP on May 30th and end it on June 12th. So those are the major differences of the two calendars, basically.
I'm gonna ask you a difficult question, maybe. And I suppose he's gonna be able to answer it, is, for how many years have we recognized the 10th as a holiday?
For many years, as I can remember.
So I don't have the answer to that, Mr. President.
It seems to me we've had that off quite some time.
So one of the things we discussed discussed, if I can, is the one day, the Indigenous Day that was, I believe that was discussed in the committee. I know it was discussed that there are different days, cultural days for the different tribes. Acoma is different than Lagunas, is maybe different than the others. So I believe that the committee felt like that was one of the factors in having that discussion, because I think that part of the decision would be to give each individual tribe an Indigenous Day, or do we, whatever we do for one, we must do for all, I think is the discussion and the attitude of the committee. I think it boils down to the most simplest form is we could do 3 days for each one, or not do any, and allow that. This is not saying no to the staff, but allowing the staff to take the leave as needed and appropriately and through board policy and our leave process and procedures so that they can participate in cultural activities in the way that best fits them.
Yeah, all I'm doing is asking a question because we have to get to the motion and all that stuff. Okay. So I'm looking at your calendar A, and so we're going and looking at Cultural Day 9/7, is that correct? Cultural Day 9/7, 9/2. It's hard to see, it's so small. So that's a Friday. And that's colored green. And I'm assuming that means that it's a day off. There's no school that day, is that correct?
Yeah, please.
So what that means is there's no school for students, but we do have professional development for our staff members.
Okay. Then on 9/15, it's hard for me to see that one. 9/19. That is the same thing. There's no school
For students, but professional development for staff.
And then we have parent-teacher conference the next day. Am I correct? And so the beginning of school, first day of school for A, is 8/11. I'm assuming that's identical to B.
Yes, it is.
The end of the school year is
The 26th.
okay. 26th of May. Is that the same for it? Is also the same.
For B, it will be the 38th.
It would be
The 38th. But students will be off. The teachers will have professional development.
how many instructional days?
100 and
It says 82.
Are they the same?
yes, sir.
175 instructional days?
Yes, sir.
82 and 93, 82 and 93. Mr. Perez or whoever, Raymond, explain the ELTP.
I'll give it to Mr. President. ELTP is an extended learning time program that the state is really highly encouraging for all districts. That is something that we have done. We did this last year. It's voluntary for staff. It's extra money. The way it's heading is it's heading very quickly towards a requirement by the state. Right now, it's still voluntary. We have schools up to either ELTP or K5 plus, but not both at the schools. We have 4 schools that are doing
Well, I said the amount Taylor,
the ELTP.
they do K5.
And then all the rest of the schools are doing the extended learning time program. K5 plus is 25 days, and the ELTP is 10 days.
How many professional PD staff days are there? Okay. And if I look at them, what color coded are they coded? What? Green? Dark green? Yes. Do they have both the same number of PD days? Yes, sir. On the same days? No. The calendar day has one of them on the 31st of October. And calendar B has one on May 30th. That's pretty much the difference between the two. When is the last professional development day? One is on May 15th. So, can you explain to me why we would have a professional development day in May? That's pretty much to take the place of the professional development that was taken out on the 31st for calendar B. Because in calendar B, where the 10th is holiday, the 31st is not a professional development day, and so we lack one professional development day, and so that was put on the 30th of May. No, we require to have a certain number, the state requires to have a certain number of PD days? Yes, sir. Actually, not only that, we're required, every staff member of the district, every teacher is required 80 hours of professional development. And that will help us attain the state requirement for 80 hours of professional development due to us participating in the LTP and K5 plus.
Mr. President, in order for us to receive the funds, get reimbursed for ELTP is the 80 hours of professional development and some after school.
And after school programming, yes. Programming. Oh, we're still doing the May teacher staff recognition. Yes, sir. Yes. What day is that? May 5th. That's the one that I'm talking about, right? Okay. It's on a Friday, and they both are okay. What I know about the reason I'm taking a lot of time is because it is hard to understand. And I'm not quite understanding of the logic between the two. The only question I had that surfaced immediately was the exclusion of the cultural day on the October 10th. And I asked the question, how have we been scheduling in that day as a day off historically. And it's my understanding that we have done so for quite some time. There was even a time when we did not have a day off for Veterans Day. In years gone by. But we have a Veterans Day off in A and B.
Yes.
So, in previous years, we've had both. The October 10th and the November 11th day. We had no scope. With the October 10th day being a day for us, was that a full day off for everybody, or was it just a day for the cultural day? October 10th, was that just a day when only students were off and teachers had to come to work? On November 11th, the Veterans Day, that is a full-blown day off when the school district is closed. Is that a requirement by the state? Or is that our?
That's our own.
Okay. I have no other questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. I don't know if you have the answer for this or not, but I just looked at the breakdown, transportation and maintenance. Transportation, nobody agreed to counter A, or nobody approved counter A. 22, all 22 wanted counter B. And the same thing for maintenance, nobody approved counter A, everybody wanted the calendar B. So, and I know you can't make everybody happy, but if we approve counter A results, is that going to affect our transportation and maintenance personnel?
I don't know, Mr. President, I don't know if that's, I don't know what the reason is why the entire, illustrious chose for maintenance. Probably have asked the departments.
What's that?
We have a transportation staff that we could ask. Okay.
Let's ask you also if we're be okay.
There just wasn't that big of a discrepancy. It just caught my eye. Nobody wanted calendar A for transportation or maintenance.
So we have to 6/2. That's the marks.
There was a battle in the superintendent's office too.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have any board members, any comments or questions? If not, let's go to motion. Where are we at? Let me find it. Consideration of approval of the 2022-2023 school calendar. Mr. Pettis, the recommendation, Jeff.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I recommend the calendar A, the majority of the staff that's chosen.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I second.
Is there a motion?
Oh, I make a motion
Make the
to
motion.
approve calendar A.
Is there a second to that motion? Seconded by Ron Ortiz to approve calendar A. Discussion, pros and cons. Okay, I will state a position on that. I don't approve of calendar A. I think that there still is a need to examine the calendar. Once again, we approve. If not, I think that we still need to consider the October 10th to be a date that we would sustain it as we have in the past. So I would not vote in favor of calendar A. Any other board members in their positions if they desire to make any?
Mr. President, I would be hard pressed to go against what the staff voted for. The rebadge from that would be is then why have a calendar committee if you're not going to go with the research and the meetings they do and polls they take and just disregard them. I understand, or as a Native American Culture Day is very important to both our tribes, and but weigh that against what the staff wants, what the staff voted for. I would be hard-pressed to not consider their vote.
Any other comments?
I agree with resolution A.
Any other comments? Roll call vote.
Emily Hunt Bailey,
Yes.
Alicia Lundstrom. Yes. Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Guyer Chambo,
No. Motion carries. Mr. Perez, consent agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve the items in the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I move to approve the consent
Emily
agenda.
Hunt Daly, so moved.
Yes, sir. Okay. Emily Hunt Daly makes the motion, seconded by Ron Ortiz to approve the consent agenda as presented. Roll call.
Emily Hunt Bailey,
Yes.
Alicia Lundstrom. Yes. Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Guyer Chambo.
Yes. Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, the impact date lawsuit updates. So recently there's been some more activity with the impact date lawsuit. We've had some major successes this last year or so. And being successful in getting the 100% of the impact date versus the 25% that we've been seeing in the past years. However, there's still some unfinished business that we're working with the attorney with a lawsuit against the state on recovering some of the past impact aid funds that we believe were should have been ours to begin with, that we believe in 2019 and before, which is basically recovering. We were given this 25% for those years, but we should have been given the 100%. So that lawsuit is continuing. We have a scheduled talk with the U.S. Department of Ed on Monday morning. That has been rescheduled. We have our attorney guiding us through that. The department does wish to speak to all the districts about this case that are involved, primarily Young McKinley County Schools. I think the Zuni District and Central Consolidated School District are also involved. All of this is still in process and still in litigation. More to come. I thought that we would put this on the agenda, that we would have that phone call on Monday. I would have been able to yesterday. I would have been able to report on this more today. That session has been moved to either Wednesday or Thursday. We don't have the date for that yet. But as that proceeds and develops, we'll keep the board informed.
May I make a comment on that, Mr. Pettis? The board approved the litigation, and there are two districts that are litigating. That is our school district and Gallup McKinley County School District. We believe that the original position of the state, which was to give us 100% of the impact aid, was correct. However, the state has reversed its position and is seeking to change these governments ruling on that. There was an administrative hearing, and we determined that the U.S. Department of Education needed to be held to the original decision, and so the litigation is to assert our continued right to 100% of the funds. Zuni and Central Consolidated are interested parties, but they are not parties to the litigation. The U.S. Department of Education seeks to have a meeting, phone call between all four districts. And what I need to restate to the board is that we have taken a position that we must receive 100% of the impact aid monies as was originally determined by the U.S. Department of Education about a year or two ago. And that litigation is still occurring. We do not know the reason for the request to have a meeting between all four school districts, but we will probably participate, and we will listen, and then our attorney will advise us appropriately as to whether or not there's anything that the district needs to do, or whether we continue to wait developments in the litigation. That's the extent of it. The executive session, are we ready to do that? Yes, sir. We are now going to go into the executive session. Discussion of limited personnel matters pursuant to section 1015-1H2 of the Open Meetings Act for discussion of a professional development plan. We will receive a presentation by Superintendent of Evaluation pursuant to section 1015-1H7 of the Open Meetings Act. The board will meet in executive session to discuss best practices, the parameters and process of professional development plan for the superintendent with his legal counsel under their attorney-client privilege in anticipation of litigation. Our legal counsel at this point will not be involved. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion to
Freeman
go.
Daily, so moved.
Emily Hunt Bailey is seconding, okay. Motion is made by Alicia Lundstrom, seconded by Emily Hunt Bailey to pursuant to the New Mexico Meetings Act under section 1015-187 of the New Mexico Meetings Act. Roll call vote, please. The time is whatever, 7 something.
7:35.
Roll call.
Member Bailey,
Yes.
Alicia Lindstrom,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Guyer Shambo.
Yes. Motion carries. With the public, we will be in executive session and we will return upon completion of our work there. Mr. Dr. Martin,
Dr. Martin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, thank you. They're just yeah. We need Lorraine. Yes. Okay. Dr. Martin, can you call Lorraine's office and tell her we're ready?
Will do, sir. Hold on.
Guys forget me?
I do. Do you have to call you? Okay. Roll in order of her.
We came out of closed session at 8:50. 8:55. No, at 8:50. Is there a motion to reconvene the open meeting session? So moved by Alicia Lustrom to reconvene the open meeting session. Is there a second? No second. Seconded by Ron Ortiz to reconvene the open session. Roll call.
Emily Hyde.
Yes.
Alicia Lundstrom,
Yes.
Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Goddard Shambo.
Yes. Motion carries. Reporting back to the public, the discussion of the executive session was limited to personnel matters that we stated regarding the professional development plan of the superintendent, its evaluation, and discuss the best practices, parameters, and processes of the professional development plan and the evaluation instrument for the superintendent. Announcements. You see the announcements. Spring budget workshop, spring region meeting on the 13th, board members. Close Good Friday, staff appreciation, etc. And the graduation, make sure you make note of that. We typically are in attendance to those things once Friday night and Saturday night.
Can I ask what time is LA's graduation?
It doesn't state.
I think it's on the 21st.
Yes.
20th and 21st.
This Saturday.
Friday, maybe Saturday, but I don't know what time. Future agenda items, contact me, Superintendent.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved by Ron Ortiz to adjourn. Is there a second? Seconded by Emily Daly to adjourn the meeting. Roll call.
Emily Hyde,
Yes.
Alicia Lundstrom. Yes. Ron Ortiz,
Yes.
Dr. Goddard Shambo.
Yes. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. 8:57.
Thank you.